Today I'm excited to review for you In the Shadow of a Broken Spire by Edward J. Flora from Gravesend Books. I've been really excited to read this. I read Ed's first book, The Triangle Forest, a while back. I think it's been a couple years ago now, and really enjoyed it. Had some X-Files vibes, was really here for it. This is compared on the very front cover here in the kind of blurb to Salem's Lot, and I think certainly that sort of Stephen King feel is present. It's something I appreciate as a Stephen King fan. It's what I was going for within The Dark of the Grove. When you talk about small town horror, I think, that's certainly a good reference. But of course, it doesn't stop there. This book deals with the town of Blair, who starts to suffer some pretty horrific deaths, including Martin, a local high school student who was found by one of the teachers at Blair High School, and he was friends with JC. And really, this story kind of hops around between different points of view, but really JC is pretty much the main character. It all kind of focuses around. So there's all of this stuff kind of swirling around that comes really to focus during the fall festival and this eclipse, this sort of legendary eclipse that happens only once every 250 years. There are quite a few elements to this book in a relatively short span of time. It's an interesting mix of stuff that's very much all kind of within my wheelhouse of stuff I enjoy as a reader. So I was a pretty easy mark for this book. I really got into the story very quickly. It's a very quick read, short chapters. I do think Flora does kind of get some of that Stephen King feel at times in the way that he explores Blair as a town from multiple perspectives. It does lead to one of the things that was just sort of a little bit of a rough spot for me, and it's purely a stylistic thing. But most of the chapters are titled with a character name. Not always, but mostly it's a singular character name. Usually, if that is the way that something is titled, I expect that person to be the point of view character for the full chapter. And that wasn't really always the case here. That person usually was a main focus, but they weren't necessarily the only strict, like, localized point of view. Sometimes we would kind of drift over into other people's thoughts. It wasn't a big deal for me, but it was just one of those little stylistic things. So it took me a little time to just sort of get used to the flow of the book in the very beginning. But that really ends up being part of what's fun about the book, as all these different sort of perspectives and bits of story start to sort of come together, and you get the full sense of where it's going, which is certainly not always exactly where you expect it, and that's always fun.